into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Dance till you're dead, everyone. Welcome back to another Face Off after show. It is season 7, episode 12, and it's off with their heads this episode. I'm your host, Danica Kennedy, and joining me as usual.
Hello, I am Aaron Molina.
I love this song. It just makes me want to have a dance party.
Yeah,
now.
I know. It really is.
The contestants this week, though, did not really want to have a dance party for the most part. It seemed very stressful this episode because they basically had to do 2 makeups and they had a challenge. Yeah,
it was the little pache spray box, too, that they won for Stella, so it's pretty fantastic.
Which, by the way, I don't really know what that is. I'm assuming that it's like an airbrush kit for professional makeup artists, a fancy spray booth. Yep. But I was like, what did she just win?
We were both trying to like look it up, and we were like, pache spray box, and then the one thing that came up was like automotive stuff, and we were like, that doesn't sound right. Like, why would they give Stella a pache automotive spray box?
I'm sure it's some fancy airbrush machine. It looked like a crazy pinball machine to me. I was like, what is that she is winning?
Because even if she couldn't even like get somebody in there, it looked tiny. It just looked like it was the size of this table almost.
Only for tiny people.
Yeah.
Minimal makeups. The first challenge, though, they had to make a character that was turned to stone by Medusa. Mm-hmm. And while they were doing this challenge, I was hearing them say, 30 minutes left, and like, how can they do that so quickly? That seemed so high stress.
Yeah, it looked like it was nearly impossible, too. And so that's why I think maybe they didn't do, like, full body makeup. But, I mean, I felt like I would have just broke under the pressure. I'm like, I don't know what to do. It would just fallen apart right there.
And Stella won the challenge, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Hers reminded me of a stone gargoyle because she did that prosthetic piece on the face instead of just doing the stone like everyone else in the gravel kind of texture. It brought it out completely.
Yeah, it totally did. And I think that just the fact that she went for that prosthetic, it kind of brought back that gargoyle look. And so it went in her favor, whereas everybody kind of just had a little bit more of the simple. And I guess, well, Dina had that little modern, random little Tetris pieces on her face or something.
It's strange that making the eyes more sunken in makes it look more like stone.
Yeah.
Like that gargoyle kind of feel, because you don't think of the characteristics of the face really being part of turning to stone. Just like one of the judges said, it's like, oh, you don't have to lose the beauty while turning to stone. You're just turning to stone. But it just gives so much more character. And I think that's why she brought the prize home.
Yeah, and I think it was a wise decision on her part for that little bit of time constraint that she had to go and add that prosthetic, and then it just kind of set it apart from everybody else's, you know. And then she was able to add that dark black inside the eyes that gave that, you know, deep stare.
The deep look. And then they had the actual challenge where they had to pick a Greek god and then have the head of whoever they defeated, which is a whole other separate makeup and character when you think about it. So if they have the 3 days, they have to get the main makeup done in 2 days and then really throw together that head or really manage their time well.
Yeah, it was really just, I felt like that was also just impossible just on its own because they had so much work to do in such a little bit of time. And that severed head, like, I mean, clearly for some people it just didn't work in some occasions. And then other people it was brilliant, you know. I just don't know how some of them, like, the top looks went, that they just created those beautiful creatures. It was just amazing.
The heads were cool, but I felt like some of them, like, distracted from the main makeup a little bit because they were so over the top. It's such an interesting makeup to judge on because they're judging 2 makeups and how they go well together for the story and the plot, you know.
Exactly. I mean, the judges even mentioned that too. Like for some people, it just ended up taking away from the actual makeup that was on screen because it was just some of the heads were a little hideous.
Just way too much. Well, I want to dive into my favorite,
Okay.
our favorite.
Yeah.
Dina, girl, you rock. If you're watching out there, I love Dina's makeup this week. She had the sculpted shells that kind of just came up with the perfect brow and headpiece, and it just looked so beautiful and fresh and full of nature from the sea, and it makes sense. She had Aphrodite, by the way, the goddess of love. So
And beauty and
just
everything amazing.
everything you love, and that's beautiful. It encompassed, and the detail was amazing too. We're watching this on this huge, big, like HD screen, so we can be
We're
a little
like,
picky. We're like, ooh, the seams on some of these makeups, or they didn't blend well. We get a little picky sometimes, but hers was immaculate.
Yeah. There was like really nothing that stuck out to me that I was like, oh, that part. Like, and if it was just a little, like, just a smallest piece. Whereas some other contestants, you see some, you see the line on the actual sculpture itself. I mean, the prosthetic itself. But hers was just, everything was perfect. And then so just, like they were saying, symmetrical. Like everything was just even.
The model really wore it well too. She just looked so regal.
Yeah.
In it, and
But I think that like also had to do with the highlights in her cheekbones.
structures
Yeah, the way she
and
did the makeup.
shell ears.
Yes.
That was really cool.
And everything kind of just blended into this even little, like, almost triangle shape, just with her, like, small chin. And it was just amazing.
It kind of reminded me of one of the first challenges, the life and death challenge with all the greens and the vegetables.
Yes.
It kind of had that same feel, and she did really well in that competition.
Yeah. She hasn't really just, I mean, I think maybe because she's a cake decorator that she just...
She's good with food.
Yeah, she's good with things that just look pretty. No, yeah, like pretty and just want to eat.
Yeah, like the flowers and the leaves.
Yeah, I
and
kind of did
things
want to
like
eat
that.
Aphrodite's head. Like, I just wanted to take a
There's
bite
some
out of the
fresh
clam.
veggies.
No, but I mean, like, just how everything is so even with her and just, like, perfect. And it's just, like I don't know, just
Very,
the smallest
like,
of detail is just,
yeah,
like...
immaculate.
Yeah, it's just the perfect word.
It's never messy. Like, the sculpting is always very detailed as well. Like, she takes her time and, like, really does a good job with it.
And on top of that, her skills aren't just, like, into just things that are all beautiful, because then clearly the severed head she had was that disgusting little anglerfish.
Gory, disgusting, with the nasty teeth. But I feel like that made Aphrodite stand out more, especially since everyone's drawn to her and loves her. It's like even this gross, disgusting fish is gonna swim towards her, and she could just be like, "Nope."
Yeah, and it was awesome too. Like how you said, like the contrast, like that ugly fish, and then also her beauty. So it just made her stand out even more. And let me just say, the head just looked like a real creature. Like it did, and the teeth were like flawless.
And I think it's perfect she did it because she's so good at doing the beauty makeup, and not beauty makeup, but like the special effect makeup that is, gorgeous and happy and fresh. It's like it's showing that she could do that really gross, dirty stuff as well. It's great for her portfolio, I think.
Yeah, even the colors too of that little fish, like the green, the black, and everything. It looks slimy and
not
slick.
Someone you want to run into.
No, it was. Yeah, she did a fantastic job.
I agree. I think Stella did a really great job as well. And we were talking about this. I think because they had the challenge this week, they couldn't edit everyone in because they didn't really show Drew's in detail, like him talking about his makeup up on stage, and they didn't really go into great detail with Stella's either.
Yeah,
and I know she was a challenge winner, and they had that whole challenge thing, and they were rushed, but
Danica and I for a while were like, what's going on? We're like, should we rewind it?
Yeah, we missed two huge makeups, and especially since it's getting more cutthroat now.
Yeah.
You'd think they would have more time on each makeup to show or talk about their ideas. And I feel like we kind of missed out a lot on this episode just with like the cowl drama of it not opening, and then we didn't get to see the last looks as much.
Yeah, I know. I was so confused about it, but I guess like their makeup was just okay. But I mean, I wish I would have just heard more of their explanation, what they thought of it. And yeah.
I just felt like they built up like Drew's makeup and stuff so much throughout the episode, and then we didn't even see that much on stage time.
Yeah, and then what I did see, I didn't care for it too much, and I think it was forgettable because I can't remember it right now.
I think Stella's really should have gotten a lot more attention though, because it was Poseidon was the god, and it had like a half turtle face, half like I don't know, scales with like the weird horn shells. It was very creative.
Yeah, and it was
a cool character.
Yeah, it was beautiful too. I mean, when you compare it to Dina's, it wasn't as amazing, but it was still like I would think those two were the top looks.
Yeah, I was gonna be really mad if one of them didn't get top looks.
Yeah, me too. I would have been very upset if it would have been like Teacher's Pet or something.
Teacher's Pet all over again.
No, but yeah, then they were talking about her little octopus head that they had on the little pitchfork of Poseidon. Mm-hmm. Like that was really interesting too. Like that, like they were just like, it looks like a potato, and they just didn't like it. But I liked it. It looked pretty cool. The colors of it too.
The head didn't stand out to me that much, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah, it wasn't like hideous the way that Lois Burrow was like, it looks like a potato. It's like, okay, Lois.
In one shot, it looked like it had hot glue or something weird on the side.
Oh, really?
I couldn't tell if that was like supposed to be some sea sap or like
slime,
weird, like a slime, or if it was like a. I know. I'm like, what the hell is that?
I just called Poseidon's little pitchfork.
It just sounds way dirtier than where I'm trying to go with this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But I don't think the head like stood out or was that bad. It was just whatever. But I thought her makeup was amazing, and they didn't even like showcase it.
Yeah,
really.
They didn't at all, which I found was so funny. And speaking of heads standing out, Sasha's
oh my gosh
anime sex doll head.
Okay, Sasha's severed head was definitely the worst this week and that's what sent her home. I think it was just so fake and ridiculous looking, and they said a anime sex doll was what he called it. I think that's hilarious. It was
like one of those things where it's like you couldn't figure out what the name or what thing you were like thinking what it was like related to, and then as soon as he said it, you're like, oh yeah, it does look like an anime little weird. I don't know. It was just creepy.
Well, when the model came out with the head, you were like, oh, that head. Like, what's wrong with it?
And then you started noticing the other things. I think maybe if she had gotten that helmet together and placed it on the model's head, or just like broke it in half in the back and just stuffed it on there, I think I would have done that. I think I would have broke off the sides and been like, it's stone, so it was cracking. And her head's cracking, so it's just going to work.
Cracked stone.
Yeah, cracked stone. But they just didn't do that, and they were just like, all right, whatever, we give up.
I think they were annoyed with what she did. Sasha always gets really creative and does, thinks outside of the box and does her own thing, which is awesome. But they had the challenge where they already had to do a stone makeup.
Yeah.
She just did that. They all just did that. And they wanted to have gods that were like, I got this head and I defeated someone. And hers was that the head defeated the main makeup, but she ripped the head off, but it still turned her to stone.
Oh my god, I feel like that's a metaphor for her right now.
Like, I know, her head, kind of like, off with her head in a way. Like,
and the head got in the way of the makeup. Her head, her own little...
Her own head, mentally. She was getting in her own head. We're getting all psychological up in here.
This is Dr. Phil now.
Dr. Phil face off. She just, at first when she was having trouble, she was like, oh, I don't know what to do with this makeup, and then she had that idea. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's very different and it's creative and she's thinking outside of the box. But then when she actually did it, I think she was lost, and it was too much like the challenge they just did. I don't know, it just didn't work.
It didn't. I was almost
confidence didn't
I was
work
almost
either.
Wondering why she added the gravel into it. Like, she should have just left it, like they said, just one. Like, just because it, it's turning to stone doesn't mean it has to make it ugly. And it just should have just been like a seamless, beautiful woman, holding on Medusa's head. And then she could have focused more time onto that anime sex doll.
I think she just isn't very well educated in Greek mythology as well, because...
You were saying that?
Well, I just think so, because I'm like, I could see her going so many different ways with this, because Athena's such a, badass woman with the gold belt and riding into war, woman power.
Yeah.
And I feel like just turning her to stone and adding the stone to the face is taking away that feel.
It really did.
I don't know. She's so talented too, though.
Yeah, I know. Because we look back to that porcelain doll and it was so amazing, and then she just kind of cracked under the pressure.
After she cracked that face.
Yeah.
So all these cracking masks, cracking stones.
Oh, was she implanting these metaphors? Yeah. She cracked under the pressure. Much like Stella's cowl when she couldn't get it. I don't know. I tried to connect it. It was horrible right now. I couldn't do it.
But okay, every single episode, someone's cowl almost breaks,
Oh my God.
they build it up with the score, and they're like, "Oh, this makeup might not work," and you freak out, and it always opens fine. It never breaks.
Yeah, this week we didn't fall for it. You were just like, "It's not gonna break."
I was like, "It's not gonna break at all.
She's just gonna crack it open, and it's gonna be fine." And then exactly what you said. She was just like, "It just had some minor imperfections." Which every cowl they have has minor imperfections. There's never like, I want to see the day where the cowl just goes on plan and everything's fine.
Just breaks on the last day,
Yeah.
last episode.
I don't want to. No, yeah, that'd probably be.
And the winner is.
Oh no, but
that's how it ends. No, I think we're just on to you, editors. We know how you build up the suspense.
I almost would have just liked the not build up to the suspense with the whole cowl breaking, like taking out that 5 minutes of that build up
and actually looking at the makeup.
Yeah, and then show Drew and Stella at the end instead of skipping them.
I agree. I feel like I was really mean to Drew last week on the Teacher's Pet episode. I was like, why is Drew winning? And he's an excellent makeup artist. I was just like really pro Dina and Stella for last week's. And this week I was more excited to see his makeup because of the severed head having like the goopy black makeup coming out of it, because he had Hades, and that's the ugliest, creepiest of the gods you could pick from, and the darkest. So it's way different than the other makeups going on. And I wanted to see the drippy head thing, just like stood out to me, and I wanted to see more of that, and I felt like we didn't even really get to see it. I was way more curious about his makeup this week.
Yeah, I know, I was too. But then again, Drew also, like, his thing didn't stand out to me as much. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that droopy head thing. I didn't even notice. Now I'm like trying to think back in my little memory bank. I can't think of it. But I was
it just didn't stand out that much.
Well, and then I was also a little, like, I guess turned off by it because I wished that there would have been some darker black colors in Hades for some reason. Like, you know, he would just look like a regular old man that was going blind.
Exactly. I thought, well, in the sketch, it was all like this black tar looking creature, and I was expecting that more. But I liked how the eyes were really creepy and like, I don't know. It did have like this old creepiness to it, and it was a good face makeup, but it just wasn't like, wow, that is scary and from the underworld.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't see underworld. I just saw like creepy old man living under the freeway. That's what I saw. I don't know.
If you think that was creepy old man living under the freeway, then what about George's makeup? The creepy old cross-dresser Zeus with the man boobs, as Lois said.
You know what was so funny is that we were so excited about that little breastplate that he made, but then he broke it up.
Cool. Yeah, when he had it as one piece. And it was just like the plasticky.
It looked like
shiny armor.
It looked cheap. It looked strange. And I think the baby blue didn't help him out either. And the little clouds, you couldn't really see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I just didn't understand why it had to be broken apart and then tied with like a string. Like it was kind of like Zeus wasn't as powerful. He looked like creepy old man too again on the freeway, like the neighbor one living across the street.
Creepy old men gods.
Yeah.
In Greek mythology.
I'm glad that they. Well, remember Lois was even like, it looks like he has breasts.
Yeah, man boobs or something. I love when Lois says things like that. It's my favorite.
Like the silicone on his face. Well, like they say, the silicone on his face and just the whole makeup was.
The face was amazing.
Yeah.
The beard was off, as Lois said. It looked like three different types of hair.
Yeah.
Like mustache, beard, and the wig was bad, but the face was amazing.
Yeah, it was. He could have probably done without like maybe the beard. Maybe that would have been even more interesting too, because you think of like Zeus being this like old, you know, scary man or something. But instead, they could have just done some, you know, just I don't know, just none of the facial hair. I didn't even notice it until Lois pointed it out, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is awful.
I didn't notice it really either until she pointed it out.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good makeup except the blue weird stomach thing going on. Like, I liked the chest plates a little bit, or like if it was a full armor, I think it would have worked better than breaking it up on top of cloth.
Yeah.
It was like toga party with like I don't know, little kid costume pieces, even though it looked like a really cool makeup when he was putting it together as the armor.
Yeah, it did. It looked like amazing. Remember, Sasha's like, "Ooh, that looks so cool."
How'd you do that?
Yeah, and then after that, it was just like, "Oh, that just like sucked." He could have probably just like, well, exactly like Neville said, just done without the costume and just showed the model's physique, and then maybe painted him up a little bit, and that'd have been fine.
Less is more sometimes. There's so many different challenges on here where they could go overboard and they just take it too far, and it's like, oh, if you just like reined it in a little tiny bit.
And I'm also I'm glad they finally brought up the costume aspect, because I was just like, finally someone says something about costumes when they don't work.
The costumes can ruin the makeup, and
like last week with oh my gosh,
it's just,
what was his name? The clown, scary clown one.
Oh, that
way 2 episodes ago.
Which scary clown one? They were all clowns.
It was no, it was the worst nightmare. Sorry, I'm totally going back. It was the worst nightmare where Drew had that weird spider monster clown.
Oh, the spider ones.
Yeah.
Both spider clowns were terrible.
And those are another great examples of the costume where it just made it look cheap. And that's what George's did this week. It just made it look cheap and off.
There's so many times when that happens where they'll have this amazing detailed makeup and they'll throw them in like Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. And you're like, what are you doing? That just ruined the makeup. And that happens in movies all the time where you're just like, ugh.
I know.
You know, different departments not working together properly.
Crazy people.
I want to talk about Sig's. I liked his a lot. It wasn't one of my favorites of Sig's work because I'm a big fan. But he had Hades, or not Hades, what am I saying?
Apollo.
Apollo. I'm thinking flames and fire. Apollo, god of the sun. And he had the flames going up really cool with like this mohawky thing.
Yeah.
And the shoulder pads. And I loved it. I think the shoulder pad thing was a little fabulous. You know, they could have like flamed it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually bothered me was that when we were watching it on the big screen here, I could notice a lot of seams where it wasn't blending in. It was like human skin and fire, human skin, fire. It didn't like, I think they could have like airbrushed it to blend into the skin tone more golden tones or
something about it was just like a little rough.
Like I like that he did metallics though.
Yeah, I did too. I also like that little technique he was talking about, how he did the black underneath and then he went in with the gold. I really like when the show gets into those type of details, because you're thinking like, oh wow, that's like something, especially for makeup artists, like figuring out ways how to achieve that end result. They kind of have those little details. But yeah, something about like the blend just didn't go well from the human skin to the flames. It just didn't look as cool.
Just in certain parts too, and that's being really picky.
Yeah,
like,
it really is.
It really wasn't a big deal. I'm just trying to critique in some way. Like I thought his makeup was great.
Yeah. You know what I didn't care for too much? I think maybe I just didn't like the fact that the face was human, like I guess skin tone. For some reason I feel like that if it was metallics from here and then maybe maybe more towards the bottom where his arms are, that's when it's okay to go into skin tone. So maybe the flame is coming
ombre into it somehow, like fade it so it's not just like sleeves.
Yeah, because the face just looked weird to me. It just I don't know. It almost looked like it was making the McDonald's arches.
McDonald's arch face.
And I don't know why. I don't know else what he could have done. I really don't. But I didn't care for the hair too much sticking out of the flame. I
kind of liked that.
You did?
But I don't know. I think it was such a mohawky looking flame on the head that it kind of just reminded me of like hair anyways. Yeah. Cartoon hair. Like it reminds me of like Jimmy Neutron's hair.
Yeah, it did.
Kind of.
And then what was his severed head that they didn't like? I'm just thinking, it was that bubbling, ghoulish monster that the plague.
Right up Sig's alley, like one of his monsters from his website.
Or like the ones on his head,
the ones that he always wears. And I think he was just kind of trying to incorporate like his personality and style into it. I liked the severed head. I don't think the judges did.
They didn't. They were just like, where is the structure in it? And I was just like, it's a monster.
They're like, what is this?
Yeah, that's a bubbly plague monster. Just accept it.
Yeah,
everything else looks pretty.
We're talking about mythological gods. Just go with it. Right?
Yeah, I know. It's just...
it's getting so cutthroat now. Everyone's so talented. I can't believe that like they didn't show the full makeups in the end. That You know, like, we've been watching this for a while, and they've been showing a lot of the makeups on stage. And now we're down to the bottom, and they're not showing it as in detailed. I feel like they should hone in even more.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened with that. It was so weird. It distracted me for the good half, the end of the episode when they were like, I couldn't even feel sad for Sasha, even though I'm terribly sad. That she was the one that, you know.
I know, she got nixed. Poor Sasha, my girl. She did amazing. I feel like this far in the episode, or in the season, you can't even really feel bad for them when they get voted off because they made it this far, and it's so hard to even get on the show in the beginning. So
talented people.
So talented. Well, let us know what you guys think. At home, all you have to do is go onto your computer, go onto iTunes, and look up our after show. You just go to AFTERBUZZ TV, check out the Face Off after show, so you can rate, subscribe, download, leave us lots of stars and comments because, you know, we love that. And be honest. Tell us your opinion. You know, we're no filter here, so
yeah, exactly.
Be straight up. We want to know what you guys think about the makeups yourselves, and might as well give us some predictions, you know. Tell us what you think.
I've been liking a lot of the comments I've been seeing on the YouTube, especially the last episode. They were like, oh my goodness, I love that, or they were kind of agreeing too. I was liking some of them, so yeah. We interact, comment, because we're looking. If you want to,
we're reading them, and we love talking about this stuff, as you can tell.
Yeah, and if you want to ask us questions, we'd be like, yeah, I didn't, or if you noticed something that we didn't notice, please let us know. I would love that.
I mean,
I'm
also,
always liking all of them. All the comments on YouTube, I'm like.
Likes for likes. Also, obviously, we are big makeup fans, but we don't know everything. So if you know what they're talking about for the prizes and things, and we're like, what is that? Just tell us.
Hashtag, what is the Pache spray booth?
Pache spray booth. It's weird, I want one, and I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. Hashtag anime sex doll.
I know, right? Hashtag man boobs. Lois. Thanks, girl.
Oh, man.
I want to get into some predictions.
Okay, let's do it.
Where the discussion of beloved shows can go
now, you're AFTERBUZZ TV.
It's pretty cool.
I always feel like I'm being, like, invaded by aliens.
It was like a double play. Alien invasion. It's all good.
Doing two things at once.
No worries.
You know, you're working hard over there in the booth. You got to do what you got to do. We're going to make some predictions, you know. What's your prediction?
My prediction, I mean, I don't know. George has been slipping, and it's freaking me out because I love George.
He has been slipping.
And his short shorts, and his beard, and his Papa Smurf's wool knit vest.
Oh, wait. When they showed, another random thing they showed was some, you know, interaction just at the house, which they never show.
Yeah.
And it was just George chilling on the couch
with his feet
knitted,
up,
like, vest on that made him look like the gingerbread man a little bit.
I'm
a big fan of that.
I know. I was a big fan. I almost thought he looks like Papa Smurf with just a blue and his like feet. He just looked like some sort of like elf or dwarf or something of some sort. It was kind of funny.
I wish they had like a after show, like an after face-off show, not our after show, but like just the footage from in the house.
Yes,
episode.
or they
that'd be so cool to
or
watch.
can they just make the show 2 hours long and just show them at the house?
And then just have like this whole like backstory drama in the house, like Bad Girls Club style.
Yeah, now we're merging 2 different shows and completely 2 different networks. Bad Girls Club meets
I know. I'm like,
Face
let's
Off.
get into predictions. Wouldn't it be cool if this happened?
Yeah, predictions, Syfy, the bad face-off girls. I don't know.
Well,
face-off bad girls.
Dina's
Anyways,
been shining though.
Yeah, Dina's been shining. So my predictions, tying it back in, reining it in.
Reining it in.
I think Dina's gonna be successful next week again. Dina and Sig. Everybody's pretty much had a shining moment. Stella has had a shining moment, correct? I can't even think back in my little memory bank. Yeah. So everybody's had a shining moment. So now I think it's pretty much just gonna be who are the best, and I think. Yeah, I think definitely Dina and Sig are going to be top looks. Dina, I'm rooting for Dina now. And George and Drew are probably going to be bottom looks.
Dina and Sig are my favorites right now. I hope one of them wins.
Yeah.
They're my favorites at the moment. They're all so talented. next week's episode looks like it's at Universal Studios, our favorite place.
Yeah.
We have both worked there. And it looks like they're doing some plane crash site, War of the Worlds. I don't know what they're going to do with that set, but I'm very excited to see what they end up doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe it might be in the vein of America's Next Top Model.
America's Next Top Model, little
Another
War
show.
of the Worlds throwback. I don't know. Well, you know, let us know what you guys think. Where can they find you online?
You can go ahead and find me on Instagram at _AAMOmusic or on soundcloud.com/AAMOmusic.
And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all over the web at Danica Kennedy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.